In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else: your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Always follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. We are live in Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is the spot. Mitch Moss along with Pauly Howard here on a Friday. Busy hour coming up. We'll hit the NBA with Brian Mahoney coming up at the bottom of the hour. Back end of the show, our best bets going into the weekend. And right now, hardcore breakdowns coming up on the NHL in the first round of the playoffs. As longtime friend of the show, Dennis Bernstein joins the program on the Progressive Guest Line at Dennis TFP on X, thefourthperiod.com, SiriusXM NHL as well. Good afternoon, partner. How you been?
Doing great. It must be that time of year. I get back to get to follow the money because we're talking Stanley Cup playoffs. Doing great. Can't wait for tomorrow to start. I'll be in Denver for Kings Avalanche games 1 and 2.
Okay, very good. We'll hit the Western Conference coming up. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm looking at these series prices for the 1 and the 2 seeds in the Eastern Conference. They are not like overwhelming favorites at all. Hurricanes against the Senators. And the Sabres taking on the Bruins. Let's begin with Carolina taking on Ottawa here. A lot of people have made the case now for weeks on this show and this network, like Ottawa's absolutely live in the Eastern Conference. What do you think of that series?
Yeah, they're live. They won't win the series, but they're live. They had a great run to the end here. Travis Green did a great job here. But I'm not going to overthink this, right? The Hurricanes at 113 points. The only advantage I see clear-cut for Ottawa is if Linus Ullmark plays the way he's been playing down the stretch. Then they have an advantage in net. Top to bottom, with respect to skaters, absolutely not. Carolina should win this relatively easy, but I get it. Like, once they go deep in the playoffs, you lose confidence in this team. But this early, I think there's a low-scoring game, so I play the under early in, like, games 1 and 2. I like Carolina in 5 or 6 in this. But I get the sentiment for Ottawa because they've had a great run.
Is it a low-scoring series?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yep. I don't see a lot because Carolina, especially at home, like, they smother you at home.
Yeah.
Before Patrick Waugh got fired, I think they outshot the Islanders. Great, the Islanders on the Senators. They outshot them 35-6 in one game in the third period. They just smother you, Pauly. So I think early in these series, I would play the under. The first 2 games in Carolina, definitely, and then see how it lays up after that.
If you had amnesia, and the whole world did, and we had no idea that Carolina had problems in the second and the third round of the playoffs, what would you think their ceiling would be this year?
Stanley Cup, win the Stanley Cup. I picked them 2 seasons in a row, Mitch. Yeah, yep. They're well coached. They don't give up a lot defensively. Like, they're smart. They don't beat themselves. Think they have enough goaltending. The question is, do they have enough size down the middle? Logan Stankoven's their number 2 center. I think he's about 5'8", like 170. Is that going to get it done in the playoffs against bigger teams? I don't think so. I think it's good enough to beat Ottawa, but that's why the sentiment against this team, even though they've done nothing wrong, Mitch. They play well every season right there, but they can't get over the hump because either Tampa or Florida finds a way to beat them more on physicality than anything else.
So Carolina and Tampa are loving the fact no Florida, right?
Yes, everybody. All 16 teams are loving the fact there's no Florida. But I think it's 7 seasons in a row, Pauly. The team from Florida has been in the Stanley Cup final between Florida and Tampa. But yeah, it's a big miss, I think, just for the league that they're not in it. But certainly. All the teams in the East are taking a big sigh of relief that the Florida Panthers are not in it.
Okay. What should be a high-scoring, maybe a series that goes the distance? Penguins, Flyers? What say you?
Yeah. It's a rivalry series. So it's going to be at least – I'd play over 5.5 games. It's probably going to go 6 or 7. I do like the Flyers here because they came with a run, too. I think they were 17-7-1 the last 25 games. I had them done. Like, with L.A., I had L.A. done 2-3 weeks ago. Like, they came in on a rush. They're getting goaltending from Dan Vladar. You're getting key scoring from guys like Zegras and Owen Tippett. And that building is impossible. Like, when that team is going well, the fans in Philly, Pauly, they're making it a madhouse again down there in Philly. So I like this. And if you like the quicker, younger team, you're going to go with the Flyers. It's not a huge upset. If you like the more veteran presence and guys that have been there much more than Florida, than Philadelphia, then you go with the Pittsburgh Penguins. But I do like the Flyers here. I think there's going to be a couple of upsets by lower seeds in the first round.
Okay, well, that would be first one then. And game-by-game basis here between the Flyers and the Penguins. And we've talked about this again with several people this week leading into the playoffs. Pittsburgh's been on this amazing run, scoring goals for fun, 17-2-1 over last 20 games. How do you think this goes in the series against Pittsburgh on a game-by-game, against Philly on a game-by-game basis?
I think these games go over. I don't see anybody stopping each other. And look at you got Stuart Skinner in it for the Penguins, and you got Dan Vladar, who's done a great job. But there's no stoppers on defense here. This is going to be the team who's probably going to win the power play war. Will probably win this series. But yeah, definitely going over in these games because these aren't stopper teams. These are teams that play with pace and they play with scoring. So again, I think they've been more entertaining games, but definitely over the goal totals early in the series.
Player props, high scoring Tampa Bay, Montreal.
Yes. This looks like a 6 or 7 game series. The big X factor here, Pauly, is what's going on with Victor Hedman. There's no update right now. He's been away from the team for personal reasons. They said it was temporary. You would think he would come back for the playoffs. John Cooper didn't give an update, maybe the next day or so that might turn it. But I'm playing overs in this game. I'm playing star props, like Nikita Kucherov. Whatever the prop is on points, play over. Cole Caulfield, anytime goal. Nick Suzuki, anytime point. These have been the star players. So I don't love this series because I think it's the tightest of all, especially if Hedman comes back. But I'm playing overs in this game because I think there'll be offense. And certainly I love the star props in the series as well. I think that's where you should lean as opposed to betting the series or individual games.
So Caulfield right now, game one, to score at DraftKings is plus 125. That's a good enough number for you to hop on board?
He scored 50 goals, for sure. And I think he had like 12 or 13 game-winning goals. So, I love what Caulfield's done. And he's done it down the stretch, Mitch. And it's hard to do. When everybody wants you to score 50 goals in Montreal, there's a lot of pressure on you, even though the team's doing well. So I love what Caulfield's done and certainly love what Nick Suzuki's done. He might be on some people's heart ballots, as a matter of fact, for Montreal.
Are you going to rain on my parade here? The 14-year playoff drought is over. Buffalo kicking ass and taking names, but only $1.60. $1.70 against Boston. Are you going to tell me Boston can pull the upset?
Absolutely. They beat him 3 out of 4 in the regular season. Swayman's back to the form that he was a couple of seasons ago. They're the more experienced team. All the pressure season. Paulie, what happens if Buffalo's game 1 at home?
Yeah.
With all the momentum. It's been a great story. I get it. They're a talented team. Is it a great team that's ready to win in the playoffs? I don't know. Ask Tampa Bay back in 2019 when they lost to Columbus in 5. So I like the Bruins. I think they're the most live dog, to be honest with you. I like this because all the pressure's on Buffalo. Now you got to make it a great season as opposed to a great story. And they haven't been, except for guys like Jason Zucker and a couple of guys they picked up at the deadline, Shen and Ted Pearson. These guys have never been there before. And the game changes at game 83. The first 82 games, you're fighting for feet. In game 83 and beyond, you're fighting for inches. And I think that's the difference. Boston's equipped. I think their game will travel in the playoffs. And I do like them over Buffalo.
So you there you go. In the first round, Bruins plus 145 in the East to win that. Flyers plus 140 as well. Don't you think it'd be a good thing for the NHL if Buffalo made a run? That fan base is going to go nuts if they do.
Yeah, it would be. But if not, it's still a Stanley Cup. People don't care. Like if it was a rematch of Florida and Edmonton, would people care? No. It's a great story. The people are back in the building, which they're playing with house money. Like, they don't have to do anything else. Would it be disappointing they lost to Boston in the first round? Of course it would. But they were in last place in the league in November. So whatever they do can't undo this feel-good feeling they have in Buffalo right now. Would it be a great story? Would it be great for the fans? Absolutely. I don't know. I don't really have a bias here. So it's a nice story. But again, will it turn into a great team from a great story?
Okay.
Yeah, good point at the end. Good point. DraftKings has props on every series. Will there be 10-plus goals in a game? Would that be the Tampa series and the Edmonton series that cashes?
Yeah, I would say definitely Edmonton. I don't think either team is disposed of playing defense between Anaheim and, if you watch the games last night, 5-4, 6-1, that'll go to 10. And I think a hat trick by like Kucherov or Cole Caulfield. I think more likely the hat trick in the Tampa Montreal series. I think the 10-goal game certainly screams out in Edmonton and Anaheim.
Okay, I heard you, by the way, on Money Moves this week with Stormy and JVT, and you're an official NHL awards voter. And in fact, it might have been on yesterday's show. And you, at that point, you said, I don't know who I'm voting for to win the Hart. And I actually like that you admitted you needed the entire season to play out before you made up your mind. Do you know at this point who you're going to vote for?
Yeah, I cast my ballot last night after all the games were over, and I'm proud that you watch other shows on the network, Mitch. That's good for you. Okay, let me give you 2 stats. Edmonton had to win the game last night to get home ice. What did Connor McDavid do in the first period? I think he had 3 assists. He had 4 for the game. His last 11 games with the team trying to win the division, trying to get home ice, without Leon Draisaitl and without Zach Hyman, except for the last game, 11 games. Connor McDavid, 10 goals, 12 assists, 22 points in 11 games down the stretch when they needed him the most without his 2 best players. Who do you think I voted for number 1?
I'm going to say...
It was wide open, Mitch. You can make a case for McKinnon because he's about plus 59. And you can make a case for Kucherov, but he plays in Tampa with other good people. When I watched this guy by himself, and the game that changed my mind, Mitch, I think it was 10 days ago. Edmonton went into San Jose. It was an important game. San Jose goes up early. Macklin Celebrini scores a power play goal. And then Connor sat back and go, kid, that's nice. Watch me. Hat trick, 5 points. That basically knocked the Sharks out of the playoffs. It's been a great run for Connor McDavid. He is the best player. He led the league in scoring. And I watch him down the stretch. That's where my lean is without exactly saying who I voted for. But there were 4 candidates this year, Mitch, which that's why it took so long. And it could have been it could have been the 3, but the 4th celebrity because they fell out was the issue. So,
well, okay, let me ask you this. So in the last 30 seconds here, if the Sharks were a playoff team, you would have voted for him?
I would have thought hard about it because there was like a 50-point differential between him and the next player on the team. But it's about winning as well. And the fact that they missed the playoffs, I think that knocks them out when you have these other three players make these runs that they did.
Should he be the favorite to win it next year when the season starts?
No. Connor McDavid will be the favorite.
Okay.
He might be a co-favorite, might be second money. But if Connor wins it again, that way he's 4th Hart, I think, then he would be the odds-on next year.
It's totally fair, by the way. I mean, I love the fact that you admitted that look, I need these games to play out, and I have like 3 guys, in my opinion, that can win it. So we're going to continue. Follow Dennis on X, by the way, at Dennis TFP, senior writer of thefourthperiod.com, SiriusXM NHL Radio as well. Get his thoughts on the Western Conference, and who does he have coming out of this very intriguing first-round series between Minnesota and Dallas? Find out next.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools, but what they don't want you to know is you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. With VSiN Pro, you get access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Now we'll hit the Western Conference as we continue talking National Hockey League first round of the playoffs. Dennis Bernstein on the Progressive Guest Line, thefourthperiod.com, SiriusXM NHL Radio as well. You cover the entire league. You live in LA, so you go out to all the Kings games. A couple of things here. First, I'll begin with this. Are you happy that they're not getting the Oilers again in the first round?
I think we all had matchup fatigue. So, yeah. It's an easier flight, right? Denver's nice, although it was snowing in Denver today.
Yeah, it was.
I think we all wanted a different matchup. I don't think the Kings wanted a different matchup. I think the Kings wanted the Oilers, but when you lose 20 overtime games in one season, Mitch, that's what you get. You get the number 1 seed in the West.
Yeah, and so they're at DraftKings, the Avalanche are minus 450 to win, by far and away the biggest favorite of the first round of the playoffs. So the best team in hockey as well. At what point this year? Because I think people were lining up to maybe bet Kings games to go to overtime in the playoffs because they just played in an overtime game like every time they hit the ice this year. At what point during the season did you say, are they playing a lot of overtime games or is this my imagination?
I started look. The season started the first week of October. I think by Thanksgiving, I was looking at records. That was the pace they were on. And every game was 2-2 in the third period. The problem was they played all these close games. They were all boring games. Like, I don't sit in the press box during games in LA. I go down and talk to the fans in the concourse. I really felt sorry for the fans. Every game was the same script, Mitch. Like 1-1. You make a mistake, it pucks in your back of net. You go to overtime, you can't figure out a way to win 3-on-3, can't win a shootout. So they lost 20 overtime games, which is a record. They played 20 overtime games, 32. They lost 32 overtime games, played 32 of them. So by November, I know, like, where's this going? This team just can't seem to win in regulation.
Are these low-scoring games in this series?
Here's how I would play this. That series price, you can't play that series price, number one. I think what you do is, Avalanche a better team. So scoring first, like betting Avalanche in the first period, like that's what I would do on the money line. That's what I'd be playing. The quick start by the Avalanche. They're the better team. Okay. They want to impose their will early. They'll forecheck. They'll put the McKinnon line out there. So I think to have to score first in games and then first period because they start relatively good. And Kings are usually, because the Kings hardly score, like they're slower starters, so I think that's how I would play this. 450 is too much. They're going to win the series, but not at that price.
Okay, so you think the Kings actually can take a game?
I think you would bet not the series, but the path. So I bet Avalanche in 5. I think that would be the other bet I would make on the series, okay. Not just winning the series.
Okay. All right, I spoke to you yesterday. Mm-hmm. Tortorella, 7-0-1 under Tortorella now.
Yep.
The goals against is 1.88. Hart has found his game. The defense has been great, but you still think Utah's got a shot. What do you think, Vegas, Utah?
Yeah, they got a shot. I was more convinced they had a shot before Torts got behind the bench. If Cassidy was still there, I feel really confident about picking Utah to win the series. Now I don't.
Okay.
Torts gave this team a shock. They needed it. The message wasn't getting through anymore. They were playing. Pauly, they trailed more in the third period than any team did. Or throughout a game than any team did all season. They played from behind. They were a great third-period team, but now they woke up. So I think this is a longer series. I think this is probably 6, but I'm kind of flipping towards Vegas right now because I like the way what you mentioned. The 7-0-1 run changed my mind on the series.
All right, fair enough. And where are you at with Ingram and Edmonton's goaltending and defense?
Well, Ingram's played well. He had a 1-0 game he lost here in Los Angeles 2 weeks ago, and then he lost a shootout 2-1. To Colorado, and he broke his stick over the crossbar. For some reason, getting beat by McKinnon is something you should be upset about, right? So it makes them better, but Paulie, they're not close to being the team that they were 2 seasons ago. I don't have them going to the conference. They should win this round. And if it's Vegas or Utah, they won't beat those teams. Like, they're just not good enough. Leon's just coming back. He's on the ice. He's skating. I assume he's going to play in game 1. Zach Hyman's just back for game 1, and they're not as good as defensively as they were last year. And who knows about Connor Ingram in the postseason? There's too many question marks. Not enough to say the Ducks will beat them, but the next round, I see this team out in 1 round, and then we'll see what happens with respect to Connor, his decision, and what happens in the front office.
Okay, fair. Isn't the price cheap, though, to you? $2? Anaheim's been a mess. Lost 8 of 9. The penalty kill's been awful.
Yeah, but it's Edmonton's not this. They're not a layover team. This is not a team that should win relatively easy because they get in their own way sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, they looked really good against Vancouver. Vancouver's the worst team in the league, right? So I think there's a reason why that it's not higher than that because the Ducks can score. I don't think they can outscore their mistakes on defense, Paulie, because they've made a ton of mistakes down the stretch. But I don't think they're going to lose game 6-1 either because they have too much firepower up front.
Okay, you made the case earlier. This is a high-scoring series. All right.
And this would be the one to play that prop at.
And Tampa, he said, too.
Yep.
Yeah, and Tampa. A game to have 10-plus goals and a game to have a hat trick. All right, the series I can't stand, Wild and the Stars. I was a kid. The Stars up and moved, and then Dallas won the Cup. So, Ottinger, they made the conference finals 3 years in a row. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Yep. And the Wild haven't won a series since 2015. How do you see it?
This is the coin flip series, though. 2 reasons. Rupe Hintz is not going to be starting. He's their number 1 center. And Miro Heiskanen, his status is up. He's their number 1 defenseman. If both guys are out, then I lean towards – I like the Stars. I think they're the better team pound for pound because they're center ice play. But if you can get plus money on the Wild in the series, go with it because of the injury factor right here. Now, it might change once we get to game 1 or game 2. But again, look, you can't go wrong picking either side because this is a game that you probably should bet over 6.5 games in this series. I think it's going 7. And if it gets to a 7, it's a coin flip. Who's better in net? Is it Ottinger who lets his team down late in playoffs but not early? It's going to be a very interesting series and rightfully, because the markets are saying so, the closest one of all.
So the team here with the highest ceiling would be which one?
Well, Colorado.
No. Between these two teams. Between these two.
Oh, those two teams. Dallas, if they're healthy, because they have more strength down the middle. The problem with the Wild is, look, they got Quinn Hughes. He's been a revelation, as he should have been when they made that big trade for him. But when you look at their center play, it's Joel Eriksson-Ek and then Ryan Hartman, who is a 2C for this team. On a championship team, he's probably a 3C. I don't think they have enough in the middle here, Mitch, that even if they get past Dallas, they're not getting past Colorado because Colorado's too strong down the middle. So I think the better ceiling is going to be the Stars because of their play down the middle.
Okay, so who do you think is playing for the Cup then?
I think it's a rematch of 2022, Colorado-Tampa Bay. I know that's a lot of chalk there. I will say this.
That's fine.
I'm more convinced that it's Colorado coming out of the West than I am Tampa Bay. It's a toss-up. It really is. Like, you have a team in Buffalo. Who knows with Buffalo? Who knows how they're going to play in the playoffs? Like, I'm looking at two teams that have done it in the postseason. Because I said it earlier in the segment, the game changes now. It's not the same game. You can't play river hockey. You can't have a pillow fight. All those terms you heard down the stretch about the West, right? Yeah. It changes now. You're fighting for inches. And the teams that have been there before, I think I give them more currency to the teams that have had great stories. Like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, they were supposed to be the worst team in the league, fellas. They were supposed to be going for Gavin McKenna. And as much as I talked about John Cooper being Jack Adams, the best coach in the league, getting that award, Dan Muse has got a team that's 100 points. There's no way they should be there. Guys who were out of favor came in there, and they did a really good job. I think the East is really much open. So while I picked Tampa, it's a lean. It's not. I'm not putting the mortgage on Tampa Bay to get there because I think there are other teams. Maybe this is the year for Carolina because there's no Florida and Tampa Bay not as good. So so I'm more convinced because Colorado, they did nothing wrong to get the disrespect they're getting because they breezed through the whole. They got pushed a little bit with 15 games to go. Then they straightened it out. Just top to bottom, unless the goaltending falls out of place for them, they certainly have the best shot at getting into the Cup final again. Okay,
so then don't give us McKinnon or Kucherov here then, but throw out another name or two for the Conn Smythe.
Martin Neshkas, the winger who scored 100 points for Colorado. That kid can something else. He's explosive. He's going to get set up by McKinnon. So it's like one player I would say. And if you like goalies, if Tampa gets in and they don't have if Kucherov doesn't go crazy, the other guy would be Vasilevsky. Yeah. So I think I'd say Vasilevsky, and that's what I would go with respect to other than the names that you know. I think those are. Neshkas just had a fantastic season for this team. He's a really, really good player, Mitch. I think that's a pretty live ticket if they go deep.
All right, buddy.
Great job.
Great catching up. Been far too long.
Yeah, it's the playoffs. Can't wait.
I'm
always great being on Follow the Money, fellas. Appreciate it.
I got to be honest. I'm surprised you're not going to be watching the games in Las Vegas and going to WrestleMania all weekend. I thought I knew you a little bit better.
I have my own priorities, so we'll see. All
right, pal. Enjoy the games this weekend. Okay. We'll be in touch soon, okay?
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Cheers.
There you go. Dennis Bernstein, thefourthperiod.com, on X at DennisTFP.
Yeah, rock and roll. Set him up, knock him down. That's great. What's Vasilevsky?
20-1.
Yeah, okay. Not bad. I can see it.
You want to go to? Do you want to throw in both guys for the lumberyard from Colorado?
They're both 150-1, but I want the guy with the best save percentage and goals against and 31-6-6 record.
I think I'm going to make that bet during the break.
The lumberyard.
Yeah, that's referred to. Why not, right?
Look at the bottom of that East bracket, though.
I know.
I mean, it's really, and I know we know some people with Ottawa futures. There's certainly the path there.
No question.
Getting the conference finals here.
Yep.
You can do this.
NBA, Brian Mahoney, Associated Press coming up next. The Pistons are the 1 seed, but the 4th choice on the betting board to win the East. Are they being disrespected? We'll ask him next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
NBA here. 2 play-in games tonight. Then full-fledged round 1 game starting tomorrow. 4 on the board tomorrow. And then on Sunday, Brian Mahoney has covered the league and the Knicks for a long time for the Associated Press. And he joins us now on the Progressive Guest Line. Hey, Brian, thanks for the time as always. How are you today?
I'm great. How's it going out there?
Really well. Let's begin with this. The Detroit Pistons had an amazing season, and late down the stretch, they won a lot of games, even without their best player in Cade Cunningham, who was out with that collapsed lung of all injuries. The 1 seed is the 4th choice on the betting board to win the conference. Are they getting disrespected, in your opinion?
I think so, yeah. When you win 60 games, and as you say, they played well without their best player, and he's back now. I don't think they should be that low. I understand why Boston surged ahead of them because they've looked so good, better than we expected. I think I'd pick Boston as the East favorite. But, I mean, look, Detroit clobbered the Knicks every time they played them. I know Cleveland has a lot of anticipation once they got Harden, but, I don't know that I have that much confidence in them. They didn't play a ton of games together. So, right. Yeah, I think Detroit should be higher than they are. I think they earn the right to be higher than they are.
Who's the coach of the year?
It's a good question. Obviously, Bickerstaff won the vote by the coaches organization. I think that's a fine choice. I think Joe Mazzulla is a great choice. Boston, again, did much better than I think anyone expected. I like Lee down in Charlotte. I thought what Charlotte did, especially if they get in, which, of course, we had to vote before that. But I think there's a couple of candidates as they are every year. I think I would have leaned Mazzulla if I had to make a vote.
All right. Excellent job. No doubt about it. So speaking of coaches, you cover this team, and it's bizarre that they were expected to be the 1 or the 2 seed with all the injuries, and the Knicks fans thought they would dominate the East. You go to the conference final, and you fire your coach, and then one of the rare times Dolan does an interview, he says, we have the team, and we have enough to go to the final. What happens if Mike Brown can't make the conference final?
I don't think Mike Brown wants to find out. That's for sure. I mean, obviously, we talked last summer, it was stunning to me to almost everyone around here when Thibodeau was fired after they went to the conference final for the first time in 25 years. Look, I think they like what Mike Brown has done. I think he's done the things he was hired to do, sort of expand the bench to be more, collaborate more with the organization, with the players, not be sort of as rigid as Thibodeau is viewed as being. Look, you won 53 games. They won the NBA Cup. You can only say it's been a good year. But obviously, yes, they know they're being judged by what happens now. You don't fire a coach and then expect to take a step backward in the playoffs. So, I don't know if they'd make any sort of changes, but certainly I think if Mike Brown, looks like he makes some mistakes, that kind of thing, that would certainly look bad. And maybe they'd have to question, what they did and what they do going forward.
Yeah. And what do you expect from their first round opponent overall? Tough for me to gauge the Hawks. Great story. Won a ton of games down the stretch, enough to win that division. But they played a lot of the bottom feeders in the league to get that done. They just recently played a game, and it was awesome. McCollum hit that 65-footer at the buzzer, but it was a little bit too late. How long do you think this series is going to go?
Yeah, I think everything you just said there, Mitch, is right. I think Atlanta had a great second half of the season. It's a team I think a lot of people really like. Jalen Johnson, great year. Daniels, Alexander Walker. These guys are a fun team to watch. But again, a lot of those wins maybe weren't against some of the top teams you'd expect. The Knicks just beat them in a game that I think was one of those games the Knicks really wanted to play and had their team out there. And that was a great game in Atlanta, a real thriller. So I picked the Knicks in 6. I think the Knicks are just sort of now peaking a little bit. A great finish to the regular season for them. And I think, for a first time with this core, Atlanta will be maybe a little bit overmatched, but I think they're a kind of team that the Knicks maybe don't want to play with that kind of tempo they play at, but ultimately I think the Knicks find a way.
So it's been the trials and tribulations of Cat, and that the fan base turned on him, and he had a rough go of it. He did dominate Atlanta in the regular season. What do you expect out of Cat in the playoffs?
Well, it's a matchup I think probably they could take advantage of it. Again, he's got the size that Atlanta maybe doesn't have. They played pretty well together, Brunson and Towns, with the two-man game a little bit late in the year, which they haven't always used. I don't know if necessarily Brunson wasn't comfortable playing that way early on. They finally started showing it more, and it's went well. So I think Towns will have a good series. I think it's shaping up well as a good matchup for him. I think he's confident the way he played late in the year. But again, it was not smooth, as you said, early in the year, did not go very well. His name was in the trade talks last summer if they were going to make a Giannis move. So I'm not sure he was comfortable when the season started, but he's playing well now. And I think he'll have a good series here.
Follow the money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Brian Mahoney is our guest. He's on the Progressive Guest Line, covers the NBA for the Associated Press. Were you surprised at the Spurs' plan of attack last Sunday and electing not to play anybody to win that game? And now if they win and Denver wins in the first round as well, they're actually going to meet in the second round when that could have been, avoided?
The last day is always kind of questionable. That was one you kind of wondered about. Even Atlanta didn't play their guys. They fell to 6. They could have been 5.
Yeah.
So those are tough decisions to make. I think ultimately the situation like the Spurs, I probably would have gone ahead and gone for the rest there. But again, you look at it afterward and you got to wonder a little bit. I didn't even know what Denver was going to do. No one was really sure. If they would have played Jokic, they kind of had to for the 65-game rule. But going into that day, it was no guarantee either. So you just have to kind of go what's best for you and figure that afterward. I'm never surprised either way, and in some ways, I am surprised. It's you just never really know.
Well, which of those two teams do you think would ultimately give OKC the biggest challenge? Would you go with Denver based on the championship experience, despite having a really poor defense this year? Or are you buying in because Wemby is so good with the Spurs?
I would say Denver, the way they finished the season, whatever it was, 12 straight wins, I think they look really good right now. And, I think Murray just is tremendous in the playoffs, and Jokic is the best player in the world. As much as the Spurs are awesome, Wembanyama's awesome. It's been a great year there. They're fun to watch. I think Denver would find a way past them if I had to make a pick in that series, and I think they'd be the team I think would be a little tougher matchup for the Thunder.
You gave up your vote years ago. You used to have one for all the awards. You mentioned that about Joker being the best player in the world. Who would get your vote this year if you still had one for the MVP?
It's not a good question, Mitch. I think it's hard to vote against Shea based on what, the Thunder are still the best team. He still had a great year. I think ultimately I'd lean that way, but I sure would have been tempted to go with Jokic and Wembanyama, even Doncic. I mean, those guys all had great years a little bit. But I think sometimes just, the incumbent has to lose it in some ways. And I'm not sure what SGA did to would have lost it.
Yeah, interesting. There's this, people are on both sides of this argument. I want to see what you think, that the NBA came down and said Luka and Cunningham are eligible for awards, even though they didn't qualify with the 65 games. It says extraordinary circumstances. And you had the collapsed lung, and then Luka missed 2 games to see the birth of his child. Ant was denied, by the way. But how do you think, can they tweak it? Should it be a lower number? What do you think about the league now saying, okay, Luka and Cade will let you be eligible?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm glad that both guys are, because they both should be on these teams. But again, a collapsed lung, what's to make that so much different than a severely sprained ankle or to me, 65 was always the wrong number. I gave up my vote because I just think that's too high a number. You could have one injury as Cade did, and it knocks you out almost for that entire stretch.
Right.
17 games is really not a long time. And, Anthony Edwards is a guy who wants to play every night. You look at his per game numbers the last few years, the guy's always out there. The fact he wasn't out there is because he's really hurt. And I just think voters need the opportunity to evaluate it their own way. To me, I don't want to say I got to rule out a guy who, had 1 or 2 injuries. So I hope they look at it again, and I hope they find a way to make sure you're not automatically eliminated just with 1 or 2 injuries, as it turns out Edwards was, and it turns out we thought Cunningham might have been.
Brian, who do you think wins the 2 play-in games tonight?
I lean the Warriors. I think they have one more good showing in them. And, I'd be surprised if it's not the Hornets. I think Charlotte has really played well the second half of the year. I think Orlando looks lost right now. Yeah. And I hope it's the Hornets. I know we're not supposed to root, but they're kind of fun to watch. And again, the Magic kind of look like, they want their season to sort of be over at this point. So I hope the Hornets find it in. I think it'd be interesting to watch that offense against Detroit's defense.
Yep.
Well said.
Great talking to you, Brian. Thanks so much for the time as always. Enjoy the games tonight and this week, and we appreciate it.
Thanks, guys, very much.
There you go. Brian Mahoney, Associated Press, covered the NBA for a long, long time. He's right. Magic look like dead team walking. On paper, this screams Hornets all day long.
I know.
The number really hasn't moved much. In fact, it came back a little bit towards Orlando today.
Got to be a weird atmosphere tonight. You did not expect this. To get Bane and give up 4 picks, and you're in a worse spot than you were last year.
They became one of the favorites to win the East after they made that move. Anyway, our in-pocket plays are coming up next here on VSiN.
These games are a burial, a blowout, a human lock. You can bet your unborn children's children on these games.
I was so good that whenever I bet, I could change the odds for every bookmaker in the country.
Get 'em, Ace. Love it. Here we go. A lot of pending. First 2 come down to tonight. Excited. We're fired up for Mitch and the Buzz City Killers. And Brian Mahoney's correct. Who wants to see Orlando? I don't even know if their own fans want them to make it. Based on how bad they've played and the chemistry issues and, thumbs down on Banchero, too.
I like what you said earlier, by the way. What if the Hornets get out to like a big lead and pull away and it turns into they're going to be booing.
Home court disadvantage.
Yes.
You're coming off a loss, not pretty, punked in Philly without their best player, and it's been a terrible season.
Yeah.
Or you didn't come close to expectations.
They totally underachieved.
Plus, Charlotte is fun to watch. But based on the price a couple weeks ago, no, minus 150 to make it. But they're laying 3.5 now. Again, their power rating is awesome because they've been so good since January. But I did think they were looking at the 9 or the 10 seed. But full marks to them if they can pull it off. Warriors, on the other hand, a different ballgame. Plus 320 was as high as plus 350. And we'll see if they got Porzingis and everyone gives it a go tonight with the minutes restriction. Pulling for Curry in the game. Tottenham to stay up in the Prem. That is now $1.10. Big matchup this weekend. As the Meat Man said yesterday, they were 175-1 in January to be relegated. They are in the relegation zone. Game 1 tomorrow night, Lakers-Rockets over 207.5. Mitch is right, that can get there by accident. Knicks-Hawks over 5.5 games. Durant to have the most points in the Lakers-Rockets series, plus 125. Couple draft props there as well. Focus more on those next week. And there's so many props up as well on the NBA and NHL playoffs. Anything you can think of. Like tonight, they got both teams to score in the first minute. And you have game leaders, series leaders. Will a star score 40, 50 points in a game? Will someone come back down 20, 25, 30? That's offered up there as well. Bane to score 20 tonight. He's the one guy who showed up in the Philly game. And he's been solid. And that guy I trust. And he cashed in the last game plus 850 most points. He's plus 650 tonight. Curry, most made threes tonight, $1.30. In the Rockets series, Reed Shepherd, most made threes, even money. Sengun, most rebounds in the Houston-LA series, minus 160. The big one Sunday. Pep is right. If Man City lose, it's over. They're at home against Arsenal and the big boy. There will be 3 points back with a match in hand if they win. They're $1.20. Meat Man likes Howland anytime goal, even money. Mitchell, most three-pointers in the Cleveland series, minus 170.
Oh, my God, I just thought about this right now. I forgot to look. What's Sam Merrill? You have any idea?
Yeah, I can find
He would be the one guy I would look at other than Mitchell to have a good series.
Mitchell, most points in game 1. A lot of pressure on him.
Absolutely.
He has never been to the conference finals, but I think he starts out with a bang and sets the tone early, and he's had some huge performances going back in the playoffs. And I think he can have a monster series, and we'll start off setting the tone in game 1. Bruins plus a game and a half against Buffalo, minus 130. And I think the writing's on the wall now. I think it's inevitable that Brissett refused to show up to workouts for Arizona. He wants a new contract. Arizona to trade up back into the first round and take Simpson. Quarterbacks in the first round over 1.5, minus 140. This is at FanDuel. Wedgwood, Scott Wedgwood, Conn Smythe, 150-1. 31-6-6 record. Goalie for the Avalanche. Led the league in goals against and save percentage. And they allowed the fewest goals on the season. And Spencer Horwitz for Pittsburgh tonight. 2 total bases plus is 2-1. He is 7 for 7 lifetime against Nick Martinez. Got to give it a shot. Got to play it. Good luck. Merrill,
yeah.
I don't see Merrill.
He's not. I checked multiple books.
Oh, come on.
How is he unlisted? That can't be possible.
Why? Yeah, that's.
I only see 4 players listed in the entire series. You got to add more guys than that.
You won. Let me look at Caesars.
I looked at Caesars and also Boom.
Same thing?
Nothing.
Same thing. DK's only got 4 guys.
Come on. He's got to be on the board.
I'm with you.
Ryan Weiss did not have it last night. That's a loser. He stayed under 4.5 Ks. Some of the pending stuff, added this yesterday. It's moved a little bit. Warriors are now catching about 2.5. There are 3s out there, but I got them 3.5 in pocket. The Hornets at 14-1 to make the playoffs. Let's go, boys. And I am hedging with Orlando tonight. I'm taking a little 3.5 with them. Have to. I would not be okay with myself if I didn't. And I can win both still. Hornets can win the game by 1, 2, or 3 points, and that's best case scenario. And I got some NFL props on the board as well. We'll get into that more next week, as Pauly suggested. Some of the new stuff that I have for tonight, this weekend. Yep, Guy Santos. Got to ride this guy.
Yep.
Yeah, great breakdown from Zach Cohen on vsin.com. The other night, he had 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. He flew over all of his numbers, and books have adjusted. So the prop bet here is 21.5 PRA, points, rebounds, and assists, minus 102. 19 games overall, he averaged 16.2 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 4.1 assists per game. That goes back like the last 19. Guy's been really, really good. Stat sheet stuffer for Golden State. We're going to war with him again. Now, this one, the blizzard in Denver is probably not helping, but evidently it's sunny again, and the snow is getting cooked out of there. But come on. I'm on the Dodgers-Rockies first 5 over 4.5, minus 118. Glasnow's never pitched in Coors.
Pa has props, too.
Sure. More importantly, the kid Sagano for the Rockies, he's got a nice-looking ERA. Every other number says impossible.
Ohtani took him deep twice last time.
Yeah, so he's due for a really bad game. And guess what? Dodgers average 6 runs per game on the year. I'm betting on it happening tonight.
Yep. Soriano! Any Soriano props? You just going to put your feet up?
No. I just.
How good is this?
This is one of the reasons why I love betting future bet, like Cy Young Award bets, because now I have action every time he starts.
Yeah.
So.
That's incredible. We said it earlier in the show. He's the 3rd pitcher ever with this kind of start to the season. First 4 games. Clemens and Fernando, the only 2 guys to do it, and they both won the Cy Young.
As hot as he's been, I couldn't go against the Padres right now.
Yeah, this is a great
I think
story.
I would only look at the plus money there. So there you go. The Magic plus the 3.5 is a partial hedge on that Hornets ticket. Also, Cat, some pizza money here. Most points in the Knicks series, average 28.5 a game against Atlanta. We've talked about this several times this week. That's 10-1, 9-1. Still worth a bet in my opinions out there. And Keita, most rebounds in the Boston series, 12-1. Drummond is, Drummond's going to eat. Going to clean the glass, friends.
What did Keita average? What'd you say?
8.8 plus 8 on the year, yeah. And he had 4 double-digit rebounding games in April, and he had the last time they played Philly, he had 27 and 17.
Listen, you got to follow this, especially in the first round. I remember doing win-lose, and I remember grading these. There were some ridiculous numbers that cashed. Like Scottie Pippen Jr. led one of the games in assists. There were some unbelievable numbers that came in.
Paul, I'll give you one from last year.
The game leaders and the series leaders for most points, rebounds, assists, and threes. You won't believe it.
I'll give you, for the series last year, Western Conference Finals, I had Naz Reid 80-1 most rebounds. He almost pulled it off, but he was beat. He was beat out by his own teammate, Anthony Edwards, at 50-1. He had the most rebounds in the series.
There you go.
Yeah, cash big time. And then I'm with you. I'm piggybacking. That's a great find. Wedgwood for Colorado, Conn Smythe. Little pizza money there as well at 150-1.
Yep. Thanks to the email as well. Take a look at McKinnon, shots on goal, and all his props game 1. Great job. I believe it was Ryan. McKinnon starts out like a house of fire every year, game 1 of the playoffs. Yep. FTM at vsin.com. If you got a group chat full of hot takes, Cut was built for you. It's a social betting platform that lets you bet directly against your friends and other users on anything. Sports, politics, pop culture, even personal bets. Every bet is customizable and pre-funded. No more chasing someone down when they lose. No flaking, no excuses, just results. And Cut gives you cash back on every single bet you make, even against your friends. Get a 20% deposit bonus on your first deposit when you use promo code VSiN. Head to cut.com, or download it in the App Store. Promo code VSiN, K-U-T-T. Cut, get it now.
Talked to a buddy of ours today who has been betting underdogs in the first round of the NHL playoffs for as long as I've known him, like 25 years. And I reached out to him to see who he's on. He's on the exact same 2 dogs that Dennis Bernstein is on from earlier this hour. He bet Boston and the Flyers to win the first round series. Dennis Bernstein said he's got 2 dogs. That was it.
And Randy McKay says you have to hold the kicker.
What?
Yeah.
I'm stunned by that.
Absolutely. Dancer said it too, I recall. If you're playing triple-double, and it also goes for the 2s, 3s, and 4s, hold the kicker.
We've had somebody recently tell us, I think it was they said do not hold the kicker.
A listener won $12,000. He playing triple-double. He got dealt 3 aces and a 2. He held the 2.
Yeah.
And he got 1. Pays the same as a Royale with cheese.
All right, stay tuned. Primetime next. Humans, Will Hill to take you through the live betting night with 2 big games in the NBA. Good luck this weekend.